Our chapter is, that is ninth chapter, that is the morphology of flowering plant. In this chapter, we now today we discuss about the flower. Then basically what is flower? Flower is a condensed modified shoot. What is that? Condensed modified shoot produced for the sexual type of reproduction. Produced for what? Produced for the sexual type of reproduction. Then we can call it sexual part of the flower. Sexual type of reproduction. Produced for sexual type of reproduction. Then condensed modified shoot. And this is the shoot. If this is the stem, on the stem we found this is the shoot. On this shoot we found this kind of structure that is called as nodes and internodes. And on this node we found leaves are formed. And rather than the formation of leaves, we found there is a different structure or different floral whorls are formed rather than the leaves. What we found here, first a part is a pedicel. What is pedicel? Pedicel is the attachment of the with the stem. Attachment with the stem. Stem for what? To conduct water and minerals and food material for the development of these inner walls of the flower. That's why we need this pedicel, attachment with the stem, conduction of water and minerals. Okay? Then thalamus. What is the thalamus? Thalamus is a very important thing. That is, it provides a stage. It provides a stage to whom? To these all floral whorls. These floral whorls. For what? For the playing for their role with various roles. What are those? Then here, there are two parts. That is important. That is essential. And accessory. Accessory and essential words. Accessory words. Accessory words are those words which are not directly takes part in a reproduction process. That's why we call them as accessory words. What are those? That is a calyx and corolla. Calyx and corolla are the two accessory words. With those they are not directly takes part in reproduction process. That's why we call them as a accessory word. Then essential words. Essential words are androecium and gynoecium. Essential words are androecium and gynoecium. Why we call them as essential words? Because they are directly takes part in the reproduction process. That's why we call them as essential words. Then we can discuss about the various roles of and how they are essential regarding the reproduction process. We can discuss in our this lesson or this lecture. Then first is calyx. Calyx is also called as sepals. Calyx is also called as sepal. And there's calyx. When we are discussing about the various families, plant families, that time this indication, you think, sir, why you read this K, C, P, and all these G? Why you read that? All these things are symbols of to represent the calyx as a K in our when we are discussing about in the coming point, that is the families of various plants. That's why I write that K, C, P, A, and G. Okay? And you people understand that. Then calyx. Calyx is a green color part. Calyx is the outermost green color part of the flower. Then this calyx this calyx is green in color. Because of the green in color, this calyx performing various kinds of function, like it protects the inner walls of the flower. It protects the inner wall of the flower at the time of bud condition. Protection of flower at the bud condition. And next is they take part in photosynthesis process. They directly take part in photosynthesis process. Because why? Because this calyx is green in color. Okay? That's why they take part in photosynthesis process. Those two functions of this calyx, that is a protection of inner walls, and they take part in photosynthesis. Then this calyx is also called as sepals. Calyx is also called as sepals. Then here, what I write? I write here a polycephalus condition. What is that polycephalus condition? That polycephalus condition we found in brassica or rose also. What is that? The sepals, they are free. Sepals, they get free. That's why that condition we call it as a polycephalus. Poly means many. And then another thing is gamocephalus. Gamocephalus, that is fused, we found in China rose. How that? Like this. They form this tube-like structure. They form this tube-like structure. That's why we call them this as a. These sepals, they get fused to form this tube-like structure. That's why we call them as a gamocephalus condition. An example is China rose. Then our next accessory word is corolla. What is the corolla? Corolla is always bright in color. Why they are bright in color? Because to attract the insects for the purpose of pollination, this corolla is always bright in color. Okay? Then this corolla we can also call as petals. We can also call as petals. And that petals, on the basis of that condition of petals, we call them as a polypetally. Polypetally means like this. These petals, they are free. Petals, they are free. That's why we call them as a polypetalous. Poly means many. You people are already known the rose. In rose, the petals, you can easily remove that petals. That's why we call them as a polypetalous condition. And those petals we can't easily remove from each other, and that condition is called as gamopetalous condition. In Datura, what we found, these petals, they get fused to form this kind of structure, tube-like structure. That condition is called as gamopetalous condition. Example is Datura. Okay? Then next is perianth. What is perianth? That is a combination, or that's the fusion of calyx and corolla. We can't differentiate that calyx and corolla. That's why that structure is called as perianth. Then next is called as aestivation. What is the aestivation? Aestivation is the arrangement of sepals and petals. Arrangement of sepals and petals. Then these sepals and petals are arranged when the types of aestivation is valvate, twisted, intricate and waxillary. Then valvate aestivation, here all petals, they are only connect to each other like this. Only they are just attached with that, all petals, they are attached with each other. That's why we call it as a valvate aestivation. Twisted, one is fused here, they are just overlapping to each other and they form a twist. What is that? They are forming a twist. That's why we call them, one petal is overlapped to other, one petal is overlapped to other, And this kind of aspiration is called a twisted aspiration. In rigid aspiration, one is completely inner and one is completely outside. Walnut aspiration, involved aspiration, this is one, the other. This kind of aspiration we found in Corolla. Maxillary aspiration. Okay, then androecium. Androecium represent A. Androecium is written for A. Then androecium here. This is the androecium. Androecium is divided in what is that? This is androecium is directly takes part in reproduction process. This is what, that's why we call them as a essential word. What we call an essential word, that is androecium and gynoecium. This androecium having anther, filament and connective. Anther, filament, they give the exposure towards the as per the requirement of that flower. Then connective, that is the attachment of anther and filament. Then this anther is a very important role inside the anther lobes. There is a formation of the pollen grain, and that pollen grain represents a maleness. Okay, then that's why we anther is represent as a maleness. Then next that is the gynoecium. Gynoecium represent for as a G. Gynoecium, here we found stigma, style and ovary, that commonly called as, that is a carpel or pistil. Commonly called as carpel or pistil. Okay. Then one thing is remaining here, that is cohesion of stamens is remaining. That's why we come towards the androecium. That is androecium having the attachment. Cohesion is the attachment with each other. That is, and that's why we named as a monodelphous. Mono means single. Inside the this China rose, we found monodelphous. All stamens they get fused. All stamens they get fused to form this kind of structure. That structure is called a monodelphous structure. Then diadelphous, di means two. Here one group is present and here one group is present. This condition is called the stamens, a group of stamens, they are divided into two. That is diadelphous. Poly, there are many, that's why we call it the polyadelphous condition. Then next is gynoecium. The gynoecium is a very important part. That is, they are divided into stigma, style and ovary, that combinedly called as carpel. Inside the ovary there is formation of ovules. There is a formation of ovules. Then the gynoecium play a very important role, and it represents a femaleness, and they form the ovules inside them. Then here we found the placenta. What's the placentation? The arrangement of ovule on the placenta, that is called as placentation. Arrangement of ovule, the arrangement of ovule with the that margin is called as ovary margin, that is called as placentation. Types of placentation, margin and placentation. Because this placenta attached with the margin, that's why we call them as a marginal placentation. Then axillary placentation, this placenta is attached with this axis, that's why we call them axillary placentation. Parietal placentation, this parietal region, the placenta is attached to the parietal, that's why we periphery, that's why we call it as a parietal placentation. Then basal placentation, this placenta attached to base, and free central placentation. These we doesn't see any type of chamber here. They are free. That's why we call them a free central placentation. And lastly, we can see we can discuss about the inflorescence. And what is the inflorescence? A special axis or branch over which flower are produced or born. A special axis like this. A special axis or special branch over which flower are produced. Why they produce? They flower. Because of this, that the visit of one time visit of the particular insect is very essential or very useful for the pollination purpose. That's why this inflorescence play in the very important role inside the pollination. That because of the in one branch we found a number of flowers are present. That is known as inflorescence. This inflorescence we found two types of inflorescence. There is racemose inflorescence. In racemose inflorescence, what we found, that is a growth of indefinite. Indefinite means there is growth upward and upward. That's why we call them as the growth of indefinite. And here the older flower we found at the base, and the birds are on the top. That's why this is called as the racemose inflorescence. The growth of indefinite, because the axis is grow towards two. That we found this is centripetal type of aspiration is also found here. Then last point is the cymose inflorescence. In cymose inflorescence, on the top of that axis of the flower of the branch, we found a definite type. Why definite type of inflorescence? Because here on the top of the axis we found a flower is formed. That's why it is a definite type of growth is observed inside the cymose type of inflorescence. And we found a centrifugal type of aspiration is also found. This is all about our today's point, that is inside the types of flower and their structure and their about the inflorescence. Thank you.